Well, kiddies. Our Tales from the Grid series just wrapped up and it was so much fun to make. So today we're going to recap the entire series. And for all you boodles and ghouls that did miss an episode, don't worry, we're going to fill you in. Today we're going to talk about the games we played, the beer we drank, and we're going to reveal our top 5 favorite episodes of Tales from the Crypt.
We're also going to be drinking a beer by a brewery that is slowly becoming one of our favorites. Today we are drinking Clown Shoes Octofest. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell icon so you never miss an upload. And as always, sit back, relax, pour yourself a beer if you care to, and stay tuned for this episode of Gaming Off the Grid. Alright, here you go. In case you missed any of the episodes of Tales from the Grid, we're going to give you a quick recap of everything that we covered in this awesome mini-series that we just wrapped up. Let's start off talking about the games.
So we played so many great games this year. We even played games that didn't actually make the series because we just love this time of year and all the horror games. So the games that we played: Luigi Mansion for the Nintendo GameCube. Such a sweet game.
Absolutely. It's one, we mentioned it in the episode, we play it time and time again. We played it start to finish. It's got very unique mechanics. It's a very unique, atypical release for Nintendo that launched the GameCube, and it definitely deserves a playthrough.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And then we played House of the Dead 2, which is so sweet because we love light gun games, and it was the next in the series for us to beat. We talked about that in the episode. We spent so much time playing this game, it delayed production.
There's so much unlockables. It is hands down gotta be top 5 all-time light gun games. So if you're a light gun game fan and horror games, if you haven't played House of the Dead, there's something wrong with you. Make sure you get out and play it. And House of the Dead 2 can't be missed.
It is a treat. And speaking of a treat, one of the best games I've played the entire year is The Last of Us. I had never played it before, and oh my God, that game is incredible.
Yeah, I had to get you geared up for Last of Us 2 because you hadn't played through Last of Us, and there's a lot of people out there. We mentioned in the episode, I hear time and time again people who say, oh yeah, I've heard that game's great, but I never played it. Go play The Last of Us, whether it's on the PS3 or the HD remaster on the PS4, you have to play The Last of Us. It's one of the best experiences in gaming, hands down, and it was an awesome game in this series.
And to go back to our retro side of gaming, we played Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and that is such a fun top-down survival shooter. It's so unique.
It is. It's a very unique game. It's a run and gun shooter. You just gotta get away from the zombies and you gotta rescue your neighbors. It's a Konami classic, and it fits right in line with what we love to do on this channel. We love to check out and get offline and drink some beer and play good co-op games, and then this game finds itself weaseling its little way into our Super Nintendo more often than we would like to admit. You gotta play Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and if you have played it but haven't played it for a while, it's still as fun as it's always been. Trust us, you gotta check it out.
And then the last game we visited is also so unique. I've never played any game that's like this. Is Until Dawn, exclusively for the PS4.
That makes 2 PlayStation exclusives that made it onto this mini-series. Like you said, it's a very unique cinematic. It's a perfect marriage of survival horror and horror movies. It really captures the essence. You spoke in the episode about the camera shots, and I'm not as technical on that stuff as you are, but that really impressed you as far as the way the game was presented.
It's basically a movie.
And it's a party game. We made this game into a party game, and it is probably one of my favorite party games we've played this year. We've played a lot of good ones, but this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. Let's dive into our favorites from this list.
It's very tough, but as far as a game that I just will never get enough of, I'm gonna have to go with House of the Dead 2. I love light gun games, and in particular, I love that series, and this is my favorite one of the series. By any means necessary, whether it's on an arcade cabinet, whether it's on a Nintendo Wii, whether it's on a Sega Dreamcast, you gotta play House of the Dead 2. There's so many collectibles, and it's a very low barrier of entry. Most friends that I have sat down and decided, like, hey, let me show you this game, let's play it, within minutes, they are hooked, and they can't put the light gun down. And that's a great attribute of any couch co-op classic.
As much as I want to say House of the Dead 2, I'm going to have to go with Last of Us because I had never played it before, and it is such a treat. I did enjoy, I mean, I enjoyed all these games. House of the Dead 2, because I love Lycans, but Last of Us was just, the experience was incredible, and it makes me so excited for Last of Us 2. I have dreams about that game. It's so good.
You definitely lost yourself in the game, and what was really cool is I've beat it before, but I had not as much fun, but I had a great time revisiting. It's been 3 or 4 years since I played the game, so it was a lot of fun to go back and play it, and it's definitely a game that can't be missed.
So now, let's dive in to our top 5 episodes of Tales from the Crypt.
Starting with the only animation episode, the third pig. It's just very bizarre. We're both into like the 90s feel and art style, and it just speaks to that. It's a very atypical episode for how the Tales from the Crypt series plays out, but it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad we made our count.
And then our number 4 pick was the 4-sided triangle, and this is such a crazy love story between a farmer and a girl and a scarecrow. It's such a good episode.
Definitely a twisted experience. And then Dead Right, the third episode in our countdown. Demi Moore, Jeffrey Tambor, they play epic roles. They do a fantastic job, and it's a great episode.
And then our number 2 episode of all time is An All Through the House. What a great Christmas scary episode. And the main character is your typical horror movie bad decisions. She is such a bimbo.
Yeah, and the episode actually gets you kind of ready for the holidays. Wait a minute, October's over. The holidays are almost here. What are we going to do on Gaming Off the Grid? I don't know.
Guess we gotta stay tuned to find out. And now, let's reveal our number 1 pick of Tales from the Crypt of all time.
The Man Who Was Death. This is the pilot episode, and it does not get any better than this. William Sadler plays an epic role in this. It's an all-time classic. He plays Niles Talbot, and he knocks this role out of the park. You feel and hang on every single word he says, and he plays on that typical psychology that happens where you side with the bad guy, the madman, the person that isn't quite all there, because they show you their perspective and methodology on how they think, and it pulls you in.
It's such a good episode, and that's how the series started. It's the foundation was built with that episode, and that's why there is 7 seasons of this show. It's incredible, and this is the perfect starting point. And now let's move into the beer we drank, because we drank a lot of disappointing, mediocre beer.
Yeah, so there was a lot of beers that did not make the series. So we don't just pick a beer and then review it. We kind of go through, we try a bunch of different ones and decide if it's worthy or not of making the channel. That's why our reviews tend to lean towards the positive side, usually. It was a fairly disappointing October for us. So we started off with the Sam Adams Octoberfest. Just a good, solid, middle-of-the-road staple. We knew that's a good beer.
Yeah, it's a good introduction to October. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, it's October's almost here, and it's so good.
Yeah, but since they took Schlafly Pumpkin Ale out of our area, we don't know why, but we have been hunting for a good pumpkin beer. That Schlafly Pumpkin Ale is the all-time pinnacle of pumpkin beers. So we tried in the next episode a beer by O'Fallon. It's their pumpkin ale.
And it was very disappointing. And it's the second beer we've had from O'Fallon's on the channel, and they were both disappointing. They're both very thin beers, and we dive more into that on the actual episode, but it was a disappointment.
And the next beer we had in the series was a beer called La Parcella, and it takes the cake for the most unique beer of the series.
Yeah, it was really interesting. From what I remember, it tasted like pickles.
It was a very sour, tart twist on a pumpkin ale, and we weren't picking up on those fall, rustic, pumpkin type flavors. It wasn't there, but it was a pretty good beer. So it was unique.
It was sour, but yeah. And then we went on to a safe bet with New Holland's Ichabod, and it was one that we weren't really excited for, but when we tried it, we were like, okay, this is actually what it's supposed to be. It was a good, simple pumpkin ale.
Yep. And then we finished the series out with a beer by Confluence Brewing. It's their Oktoberfest, one of the best breweries in the area we live in, and they delivered time and time again. It was epic. It's one of the best Oktoberfest beers you can get your hands on.
And speaking of October, I know it's over, but what do you think about Clown Shoes, Octofest?
Very unique. I almost feel like it's miscategorized. First taste, citrus hops.
Yes.
I get citrus hops right away. I don't get that German Marzen style at all. You know, maybe they call it Octofest because it's not quite an Oktoberfest. I don't know. It almost is like a pale lager, pale pilsner.
It's kind of like a light beer.
But if you're looking for an Oktoberfest, this is not going to check those boxes for you.
Their beers are incredible, so I was hoping this was going to be a dark, German-styled Octoberfest, but it's like really thin and there's not much going on. It's not bad, but it's not...
Yeah, it's an interesting beer.
It's...
I definitely was expecting a little bit more, just not an Oktoberfest in my mind. All right, so before we wrap things up, I just have to ask you, are we going to be back next year with another mini-series called Tales from the Grid?
Ooh, that sounds really awesome, and I hope we do, because I'm in love with the intro video we did for this, and the series was so much fun. But we also have all these crazy ideas for different series. I don't want to reveal anything.
Whatever it is we decide to do, you can be rest assured that we'll be back next October to celebrate this amazing spooktacular month with you. There's so many games we haven't played, so many beers we haven't drank, so many shows and movies that we still need to discuss. So we'll be back next October, better than ever. Thanks again for your continued support and riding along through the mini-series that was Tales from the Grid. Keep gaming, keep drinking. We'll see you next time on Gaming Off the Grid. And enjoy this right off into the sunset for Tales from the Grid.
Right down Broadway, baby. Just wrapped up, and it was so much fun to do, and we thought we would catch them all. Pokemon.
Get you later. Gotta get them all.
See?
They're running around.
They're running amok.
Ric Flair, I know you've watched Elizabeth with not only your eyes, but you've also watched her with your mind, yeah.
Well. well, kiddies. Our Tales from the Grid's just like spit everywhere. The entire series, and for all you boys and ghouls that did miss an episode, sucks to be you.